Hello and welcome to this special segment from the Sigma Central Europe Media Zone. I'm Ginevra Infascelli, and today I have the honor of interviewing Mr. Stuart Banks, which is the Managing Director, Global Partnerships of Light & Wonder. Hi Stuart, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks. So Light & Wonder has established itself as a global leader in connecting content, platforms and partners through its aggregation business. How is your partnership strategy driving value and innovation across different markets worldwide?
So there's two sides to the aggregation business in Light & Wonder. You've got what we call our power partners. So these are people with their own RGS platform and they plug into Light & Wonder and we distribute them globally. So we've got about 100 of those guys, and everyone from the really big studios that everyone knows through to some smaller ones that are kind of coming to the market for the first time. Then we have what we call our Light & Wonder Spark business. And these studios tend to be kind of newer kind of academy prospects studios that are building games locally onto Light & Wonder's platforms. And then we, again, take them out into the global market, but they're a bit earlier stage and bring a lot of innovations to the table. So that's kind of a bit of background to the Light & Wonder aggregation business. In terms of the value that aggregation brings to the market, really, it's huge. And aggregation has been around for a while, but I think in the current climate, it's even more important than it's ever been. You know, more and more operators are operating or wanting to operate in more markets. So, you know, a new market like Brazil opens, they want to go and play there. The reality is that, you know, studios aren't, and operators aren't that well set up to accommodate loads and loads of studios plugging in independently from each other. So the whole concept of aggregation is all the game studios build onto us. We just do a single integration into the operator and they get access to all of that massive sweet shop of content. So I think overall that need for that in a market that's expanding at the rate it is and the amount of new markets opening all the time, I think is absolutely critical. So aggregation's here to stay. You know, I think Light & Wonder has positioned itself incredibly well as the kind of global, we're probably certainly amongst the biggest aggregators within the regulated market. We operate in 43 markets now, so like regulated markets. And yeah, it's here to stay. I think the value piece is absolutely there.
Wow. So you anticipated a bit the next question, but we can expand a bit more on it. With Light & Wonder's focus on unifying land-based, digital and social gaming, how is the company leveraging aggregation to deliver a truly seamless cross-platform experience for operators and players?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So look, like you say, Light & Wonder as a business is actually a bigger land-based business than it is a digital business. Like our land-based side is absolutely huge, and as such, you know, if you go into a Vegas casino, a third of the games on the casino floor belong to Light & Wonder. So it has massive brand resonance in those markets, and traditionally what we've done is take a lot of those land-based games and bring them online, so that to your point, customers have the same experience or very close experience whether they're playing offline or online. Over time, we've actually now started to do the other way around. So some of our digital business is now building games that are now being converted into land-based. Now, this is a big strategic driver for Light & Wonder as a business. In terms of the aggregation space and our partners, so lots of our partners definitely hold aspirations, we say, to convert some of the games they're bringing online and making sure that those games, or you know, appear on a casino floor, for example. Now, the reality is that we're probably quite early in that journey. We haven't really explored it in depth with partners, but the demand is there, and I think you know it's a natural place for us to start to head. We do have there are some examples already of it working. You know, one of our studios, a company called Hit Squad, built games online with Light & Wonder. They've just released those same games. They're actual table games. So in South African casinos now, you can play games that were first ever played on Light & Wonder's platform. So, you know, again, we're starting to see this like evolution of this. And again, like if customers are, you know, online playing games, it's very natural for them when they step into a casino environment or in a games hall or whatever to be able to go off and see those same brands. So more of it to come, I think, but ultimately probably a bit early in terms of the partners piece. For Light & Wonder, it's absolutely core to its strategy of its own games.
Clear. Now, focusing a bit more on the partnerships as managing director for global partnerships, you work at the intersection of collaboration and innovation. What qualifies a strong partnership? Like, what qualities define a strong one in today's iGaming ecosystem, and how does Lion Wonder ensure mutual growth and success with its partners?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, obviously, I'm in charge of partners across the business. We have 120 plus partners that we're working with across those two, Lion Wonder Spark and Lion Wonder Power. I think the real key for me comes down to sort of communication and collaboration. And the way you bring that to life really is through having a world-class partner manager team. So each and every one of those partners that come into our business that we work with will have their own dedicated partner manager. And that then enables them to have a constant flow of communication, because for partnerships to really work, there's nothing worse than one partner, one side of the equation not really kind of delivering or coming back or being responsive. And like, that's all they really want. Like, what partners really want, they come to us to distribute their games into global markets, to open up new growth opportunities. But the reality as well is, if we are to do that properly, like, we need to be hand-holding them through that process. So imagine a new market opportunity opens, South Africa, for example. We would go and effectively hand-hold that those partners into that market, allow them to understand what, how the regulations work, how to navigate it, who the operators are. And so all of that piece is like really, really central to what we do. Partner management is just critical part of of everything we're doing in aggregation. And I think for a relationship to really flourish and turn into, to take a game supplier from, X to Y, it's all about working collaboratively around that piece. So very, very critical.
We have deeply discussed aggregation, mentioned it again and again, but we didn't touch upon the new AI-driven personalization and how it's shaping aggregation. Which innovations do you see as the most transformative for the future of Light & Wonder in iGaming's network?
Yeah, so look, AI is obviously the hot topic in the industry and in the world generally, to be honest. I think we're starting to see the sort of early stages of it having a material impact, particularly so a lot of obviously our game studios that we work with and all our partners are developing content, right? They're developing games. Now, today, the development process for building a game, getting it out to market, getting it certified, all of that process is incredibly long. I think, for me, it's probably unsustainable, to be honest. I think it's, the costs involved in creating a game and getting it out there are just so high. And in a market where there's so much content and there's so many studios, so much competition, those costs need to come down, because otherwise, people won't get the ROI on their games that they need. Now, how can AI help that? Well, we're already seeing our studios constantly be effectively utilizing various different AI methodology to go and shorten parts of that game development process. So it might be how they get to their kind of art and visualization quicker. Not necessarily like this idea that like AI is just going to build a game and just get out there. It's still quite far off. It's not to say it won't ever happen, but again, you see in the industry, people obviously trying to push more and more. I think for me at the moment, it's about shortening that process. And if we can reduce the amount of time that games take to build and the costs associated to building those games, and one day, it'll be amazing if the certification side of the business also kind of adopt AI in a way that massively shortens the process for getting games certified in all the markets. Because that then again, it makes game development more tenable, like just
sustainable.
generally. So yes, that would be my answer.
So looking ahead, all things considered, what trends or emerging markets do you believe will shape the next chapter of Light & Wonder's global aggregation and partnership strategy as well?
Yeah, I mean, look, we can talk about emerging markets. So I've been in the industry a long time, too long, and it's absolutely transformed. And I think 20 years ago when I came in, we did, we were up in the UK market, and there was a couple of other markets that were, within Europe. But obviously, over the 20 years, constant opening up of regulated markets, and still loads to come, right? Like Light & Wonder about to make some serious plays in some new markets coming up. We've got a particular focus on territories like the Philippines, and actually some of these markets that have just opened as well, South Africa and Brazil and stuff like that, where there's a lot of movement in Argentina. But also within the North America markets, I kind of need to talk about that a bit, because Light & Wonders has its kind of heartland in North America, whether it's kind of the US or Canada. There's still some movement in the US. It's not been as exciting, I think, as most people wanted and potentially expected. But even having said that, there is, there's still kind of some level of excitement about some of the stuff that's going on in terms of new market entrants. In Canada, we've got Alberta opening. Alberta's going to be a commercial market in the Canadian piece. So currently there's only Ontario. So Alberta opening is very exciting for the industry and for all our partners and game suppliers. So yeah, I think the fact that the market's constantly evolving and more and more territories opening, it keeps us coming to work, right? Like, every time there's a new market opportunity, UAE is obviously a hot topic at the moment. Again, everyone's kind of eyes go onto it, the eyes light up, and everyone wants to think, how can I win that territory? And for us as an aggregator, every time an emerging market opens, there's a huge opportunity to become the dominant aggregator in that market. So, and we won't be the only one. All of our competitors will also be trying to do the same thing. But, it's a real opportunity at each and every stage. So I think the emerging markets piece keeps me busy and entertained. And, Light & Wonder, for example, I think we're tracking 25 markets at the moment. So even though some of those aren't necessarily going to open immediately or even in 2026, we think that there's a good chance that they may open subsequently. And also, when you're in a company like Light & Wonder, you have to be so far ahead of like the date on which that market opens, because you've got to be ready. You've got to have your content. You've got to have all your suppliers go through all the right processes. You've got to fully have dived into the entire kind of compliance landscape of that market and the operator one. And you need to have done the integrations, you need to have done the contracting,
a lot of preparation.
There's a lot of work that goes in before even, before the market turns on. So emerging markets is a very much a key strategy piece within the aggregation space.
Stuart, thank you very much for your time, for sharing your insights with us, and I hope you get the best out of Sigma 2025 in Rome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.